Barakatham Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai Bahashem Kadash. That's the ancient Hebrew tongue glorifying the Heavenly Father in the name of His beloved Son, in the name of the Holy Spirit. Special thanks to Great Millstone. Double honor sincerely to the Chief Apostle, all the other apostles and bishops and elders who rule and teach well. 1 Timothy 5:17, within whom are worthy of double honors. Salutation and blessings to you, so-called Latinos, Negroes, and Native Indians, the Akim and Aqua scattered abroad throughout the four corners of the earth. James 1 verse 1 and 1 Peter 1 verse 1. Shalom. Now this is going to be more of a historical lesson titled The 12 Tribes of Israel. Subtitle, The Southern and Northern Kingdom. And in this current day we're living in, this crooked devil, Esau, Edom, the so-called white man and his entourage of various nations who are having the time of their life, keeping you true Israelites according to Genesis 49 by your true nationality in derision and beguilement. Sometimes I bet you often wonder, as you found out your true nationality, how this thing all took place or transpired. So we're going to try to get into a little bit of the history. And prophecy is engulfed throughout this whole lesson, but at times a historical value as to your worth as a true Israelite needs to be discussed and described spiritually so that you can stand fast in that liberty wherewith Yahweh Shai has set you free and not be entangled to the yoke of bondage, to slavery. Now, Judah and Benjamin, the tribes of Judah and Benjamin, became the southern kingdom, the kingdom of Judah, in 930 BC, following the death of Solomon. You can find that in 1 Kings 11, 41 through 43. And let's note here that in 1 Kings 11, 1 through 11, it shows Solomon's downfall. Actually, in 1 Kings 11, verse 11, the Lord told Solomon the kingdom would be taken from the hand of his son Rehoboam, but not in Solomon's lifetime, but in his son's rulership, the kingdom would be taken. And that was told in 1 Kings 11, verse 12. Might as well break that out to get this lesson started. Get straight into the Word. 1 Kings chapter 11, verse 12. Now we might as well read 1 Kings chapter 11, 11 and 12. Wherefore the Lord Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai said unto Solomon, Forasmuch as this is done of thee, and thou hast not kept my covenant and my statutes, which I have commanded thee, I will surely rend the kingdom from thee, and will give it to thy servant. Notwithstanding, in thy days I will not do it for David thy father's sake, but I will rend it out of the hand of thy son. And so the kingdom would be taken and given to Jeroboam, 1 Kings 11:28 through 31. The book of 1 Kings, chapter 11, verses 28 through 31. And the man Jeroboam was a mighty man of valor, and Solomon, seeing the young man that he was industrious, he made him ruler over all the charge of the house of Joseph. And it came to pass at that time when Jeroboam went out of Jerusalem, that the prophet Ahijah the Shilonite found him in the way, and he had clad himself with a new garment, and they two were alone in the field. And Ahijah caught the new garment that was on him and rent it in 12 pieces. And he said to Jeroboam, Take thee 10 pieces, for thus saith the Lord, the power of Israel, Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai. Behold, I will rent the kingdom out of the hand of Solomon, and will give 10 tribes to thee. These 10 tribes went into Assyrian captivity, the northern kingdom of Israel. And you can find that in 2 Kings 17:18 through 23. So we had the 12 tribes of Israel, a nation of people. You so-called Latinos, Negroes, and Native Indians were one nation of people. And 10 tribes, as the kingdom was split, went into Assyrian captivity, the northern kingdom of Israel. Now those 10 tribes went into Assyrian captivity under King Shalmaneser in 2 Kings 17. We might as well pull that out in 2 Ezra chapter 13, verse 40. As you true Israelites probably wonder sometimes, I wonder where the tribes actually went. Nothing is really said in the Bible. Well, it's actually in the Bible. It's in the Apocrypha. The Apocrypha, meaning hidden away, hidden, scattered. You true Israelites were hidden away. These truths of your chronological, meaning the times and dates and geographical passageways of origin and travel, went into 2 different captivities. 722 BC, the northern kingdom, and 67 to 70 AD, the southern kingdom. Now this northern kingdom, in 2 Ezra 13, verse 40, we see here, those are the 10 tribes which were carried away prisoners out of their own land in the time of Osea the king, whom Shalmaneser the king of Assyria led away captive, and he carried them over the waters, and so came they into another land. 2 Kings 17:23. But they took this counsel among themselves, that they would leave the multitude of the heathen and go forth into a further country where never mankind dwelt, that they might keep their statutes, which they never kept in their own land. And they entered into the Euphrates by the narrow passages of the river. For the Most High then showed signs for them and held still the flood till they were passed over. This was down around the hurricane region as they entered into the Euphrates River and that narrow passageway along the area down there. He held up the hurricane season so the tribes could pass through. For the Most High then showed signs for them and held still the flood till they were passed over. For through that country there was a great way to go, namely 1.5 years. And the same region is called Ar-Sarath, which basically was known as America. Then dwelt they there until the latter time. And now when they shall begin to come, the highest shall stay the springs of the stream again, that they may go through. Therefore sawest thou the multitude with peace. But those that be left behind of thy people are they that are found within my borders. Arizona, New Mexico, Nevada, California, and so on. Now when he destroyeth the multitude of the nations that are gathered together, he shall defend his people that remain. That's Joel chapter 3, verse 2. All day and all night. And then shall he show them great wonders. It's 1 Corinthians chapter 2, verse 9. For eyes have not seen, ears have not heard, neither hath it entered into the hearts or minds of men, the things Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai Bahashem Rakakadash has in store for those that love him. Namely, Revelations 15, 2 and 3, as we're going to scarcely be saved from the fiery destruction of this crooked-ass motherfucking country, America, over here, where we're in our 7th and final captivity. And from a chariot on high, as we're caught up with Yahweh Shai, we're going to rejoice looking down through that sea of crystal glass and see this bitch burning from the nuclear fire as we sing the song of Moses, Deuteronomy 32, and the song of the Lamb, Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai Bahashem Rakakadash, namely having that new identity in Yahweh Shai. The point here is, as we get back to the lesson, that those 10 tribes went away into Assyrian captivity throughout southern, central, and northern America. The Seminole Indians being the tribe of Reuben, and the American Indians being the tribe of Gad. Now this split of the kingdoms, remember we're dealing with the 12 tribes of Israel, the southern kingdom and northern kingdom. The split of the kingdoms actually started when Solomon's son Rehoboam refused to lighten the tax burden. The 10 northern tribes rebelled, leaving only Judah and Benjamin loyal to the Davidic lineage, or to the line of David. In the tribe of Levi, the Levites also joined them, having been displaced from the northern kingdom of Israel. 9 and 3 makes 12. Now the key details on the formation of the southern kingdom of Israel, the split in 930 BC following Solomon's death, Israel divided into 2 kingdoms, the northern and southern kingdoms, due to political tensions, high taxes, and religious disobedience, which can be found throughout 1 Kings chapter 11 as well as 2 Kings 17. Now, the loyalty of the tribes of Judah and Benjamin remained loyal to King Rehoboam, Solomon's son, and formed the southern kingdom, centered around Jerusalem. So we had left in that region of Jerusalem, Judah and Benjamin, which, as I described earlier, Levi attached unto them, having been displaced from the northern kingdom of Israel. And let me go into this here, that the role of the tribe of Levi, the Levites who served as priests, largely left their lands in the northern kingdom when Jeroboam established rival calf worship. Rehoboam, or actually it was Jeroboam, who went off big time and established a pagan / cult type of worship. And the tribe of Levi, the priest, migrated to the southern kingdom to support the temple worship in Jerusalem. So we had this split here. The northern kingdom in 722 BC, described in 2 Kings 17, 18 through 23. And the southern kingdom, which remained and lasted longer until 586 BC, when they went into Babylonian captivity. But let's pull that out for historical sake. 2 Kings 17, 18 through 23. Therefore, the Lord Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai was very angry with Israel and removed them out of his sight. There was none left but the tribe of Judah only. And Judah kept not the commandments of the Lord Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai their power, but walked in the statutes of Israel which they made. And the Most High rejected all the seed of Israel and afflicted them, and delivered them into the hand of spoilers, until he had cast them out of his sight. For he rent Israel from the house of David, and they made Jeroboam the son of Nebat king. And Jeroboam drave Israel from following the Lord, Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai, and made them sin a great sin. For the children of Israel walked in all the sins of Jeroboam which he did. They departed not from them, until the Lord Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai removed Israel out of his sight, as he had said by all his servants the prophets. So was Israel carried away out of their own land to Assyria until this day. And that was 2 Ezra 13, verse 40. Those are the 10 tribes which were carried away prisoners out of their own land in the time of Osea the king, whom Salmanazar the king of Assyria led away captive, and he carried them over the waters. Now we're going to jump ahead here, as you have to mentally understand that these 9 tribes, so to speak, are now over in the central, southern, and northern American region, leaving basically the tribes of Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, the majority of them, in the region of Jerusalem. And in 67 to 70 AD, according to Luke 21:21, these 3 surviving tribes fled under Roman persecution to neighboring Alexandria, Egypt, Africa, if you will, and were pushed to the southwestern shores of Africa, to the Ivory Coast, in areas such as Guinea-Bissau, Benin, Senegal, Senegambia, and so on, where they dwelt for roughly 800 to 1,000, 1,200 years. There's a lot of historical things I'm not going into now because I'm trying to get to some main points here of you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Indians over here in Northern America, to understand your slavery, how it came about. Isaiah 22:18 gives a good prophetical concept of the Most High's anger. Baruch 4 verse 6. As we were delivered unto our enemies, not to total destruction, but because we moved the Heavenly Father unto wrath, we were delivered unto our enemies. Isaiah 22:18. He will surely violently turn and toss thee like a ball into a large country. There shalt thou die, and there the chariots of thy glory shall be the shame of thy Lord's house. Now, as we were pushed to those regions of southwestern Africa, To this day, you still got the Port of Judah, Port Benjamin, and Port Levi along that southern shore and coast were huge, massive slave ships. As we were sold by Muslim marauders, the Arabs, to Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, the Europeans. We were sold into slavery, and these small hats, the Amalekites, the modern day fake Jewish people, funded the building of the ships and expeditions to the Americas. So we were shipped first to Deville, Spain, under Queen Isabella and King Ferdinand Salaki. Queen Isabella and King Ferdinand and the Spaniards at that time were basically Edomites as well. Had the time of their life torturing us and setting up their camps as they kept us in historically sad and gruesome slavery as well. We were shipped, the tribes of Judah, to Jamestown, Virginia, as well as Slidell, Louisiana, and the opening up of the Mississippi River down there around New Orleans, and marched in on long, treacherous walks through New Orleans East, up to modern-day Canal Street, propped up on slave blocks and sold to the highest bidder. Now that slavery was and still is big business for these crooked-ass Americans who, in fact, will never lean on the truth and the honesty of their heart, but will keep holding on to that wicked motherfucking dollar and keep investing these prison systems and abiding under this wicked ass system that takes your social security number and your birth certificate, these adhesive contracts that keep you so-called Latinos, Negroes, and Native Indians bound, secretly still held in captivity by your identities. They know you're the true Israelites, and they know that what the Father had scattered, He's currently gathering. Ezekiel 37, 16 and 17. The power lies in the spirit of Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, and the 100% truth of the spirit of this holy Bible, the King James Version, the Old Testament, Apocrypha, the New Testament included. The spirit lies in the truth of this word. Ezekiel 37, 16 and 17. Moreover, thou son of man, take thee one stick and write upon it for Judah, and for the children of Israel his companions. Then take another stick and write upon it for Joseph, the stick of Ephraim, and for all the house of Israel his companions. and join them one to another into one stick, and they shall become one in thine hand. There's a key verse there in Ezekiel 37, verse 10, where you so-called Latinos, Negroes, and Native Indians, the righteous 1/3 of you, starting with the elect of the Lord, the 144,000, 12,000 from each of the 12 tribes of Israel's descendants, starting with the elect of the Lord and that righteous remnant, the righteous 1/3, according to Zechariah 13, verse 8, that 1/3 is being raised and standing up on their feet today, an exceeding great army. That's Romans 13:11. Knowing the time that it is now high time to awake out of our sleep, for our salvation is nearer. And when we believe, this thing is popping off. You can see it out there across the earth, out there all over the place. This thing's going down. Micah chapter 4, verse 10. You true Israelites know the flavor of this word. It's line upon line, precept upon precept. That's how we get our light and our spirit is fed. Micah 4, verse 10. Be in pain and labor to bring forth, O daughter of Zion, like a woman in travail. For now shalt thou go forth out of the city, and thou shalt dwell in the field. And thou shalt go even to Babylon. There shalt thou be delivered. There the Lord Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai shall redeem thee from the hand of thine enemies, O daughter of Zion. As described in this message, we fled our homeland through 2 different dispersions, went into various captivities under our enemies. We went out of the city and into the field, out into these various captivities, and wound up over here, and shall go forth even unto Babylon, this bitch-ass motherfucking so-called American captivity, where thou shalt be delivered. There the Lord Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, he's coming back. He shall redeem thee from the hand of thine enemies. According to Psalm 83, verse 4 on down, Psalm 83, verse 4 on down in that psalm, these enemies, these other nations, have all had a part in our derision. And motherfucking daily, in the most catastrophic and cruel way, continually are licking our wounds as we've suffered these curses of Deuteronomy 28, 16 through 68. For going off. Our forefathers went off and were bearing their sins. As these devils know, this thing is winding down. As they think they're having the time of their life, they got another thing coming. Revelations 18, 2 and 3. See That's one thing the Lord does not do is play around with his word and what he's written. According to Ezekiel 12:28, is now coming to pass. Revelations 18:2 and 3. And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the great is fallen, and has become the habitation of devils, and the hold of every foul spirit, and cage of every unclean and hateful bird. For all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication, and the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her, and the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies. But now the tables are turning for the elect's sake. That's why you see things popping off so quick all over the place. Matthew 24, verse 22. And except those days be shortened, there should no flesh be saved. But for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened. This crooked devil's got one final act. He's going to try to usher in this RFID, radio frequency identification device, this microchip. And this whole thing's going to motherfucking backfire on this bitch. According to Job 20, verse 23. Might as well pull that out. I hadn't planned on it, but as this crooked ass fucking devil Esau Edom, the so-called white man, is sitting there chilling, thinking he's got this whole thing set up. He's going to keep us in this motherfucking captivity forever. The Most High has got a different plan. As you see these other nations, according to Revelation 17:16, they're not buying that bullshit no more. You heard me? Job 20, verse 23. When he is about to fill his belly, Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai Bahashem Rakah Kadash shall cast the fury of his wrath upon him, and shall rain it upon him while he is eating. He's going to burn this bitch with fire. Deuteronomy 30, verse 7. You out there who you say you love the Lord, huh? You love the Lord. You serve the Lord. You love his word. Jeremiah 30, verse 7. And the Lord Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, thy power, will put all these curses upon thine enemies, and on them that hate thee, which persecuted thee. Salaki. Revelations 18, verse 8. Therefore shall her plagues come in one day, death and mourning and famine. And she shall be utterly burnt with fire. For strong is Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, our power, who judgeth her. This thing's going to go down in 1 hour. You know how these crooked devils won't put a motherfucking street light down in the hood where it's needed, but got time after all these baseball events, and race car events, and attractions throughout the earth, where they put forth that grand finale and waste countless hundreds of thousands of dollars every night with that grand finale of fireworks. Well, in 1 hour, the Heavenly Father is going to have a grand finale of His own at the expense of you crooked motherfucking devils who think you got us over here in these various captivities. Like that whole thing's gonna just last forever. Revelations 18 verse 10. Standing afar off for the fear of her torment, saying, Alas, alas, that great city Babylon, that mighty city, for in 1 hour is thy judgment come. The Lord's gonna burn this bitch. Like I say, a lot of times they're calibrating and polishing up these missiles. For strong is the Lord that judgeth this bitch. His arrows are sharp, they shall not miss their mark. 2 Ezra 16:13. Revelations 18:17. For in 1 hour so great riches is come to naught, and every shipmaster and all the company in ships and sailors, and as many as trade by the sea, stood afar off. In 1 hour, these other nations who did business with us gonna sit at a glance from a ways away and watch this bitch burn. Revelations 18 verse 19. And they cast dust on their heads and cried, weeping and wailing, saying, Alas, alas, that great city wherein were made rich all that had ships in the sea by reason of her costliness. For in 1 hour is she made desolate. Revelations 13, 9 and 10. You crooked motherfuckers that smile in our face. Got that hatred of us strongly behind our back. Here's what's coming for you bitches. Revelations 13, 9 and 10. If any man hath an ear, let him hear. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints. It's that simple. The Most High put us in these various captivities. You crooked fucking devils have had the time of your life thinking you're getting away with something when the Father requires that which is past. Ecclesiastes 3:15. Everything you thought you got away with, you got to pay up. Revelations 18 verse 20. Rejoice over her, thou heaven, and ye holy apostles and prophets, for Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Rakah Kadash, hath avenged you on her. Romans 12:19. As we think of the faith and the patience of the saints, as King David often asked, how long, Lord? How long as these wicked have set traps and cords and snares along my path? How long do we got to go through this and endure this torturous captivity? Romans 12, verse 19. Dearly beloved, avenge not yourselves, but rather give place unto wrath. For it is written, vengeance is mine, I will repay, saith the Lord. Isaiah 13, verse 11. Bring it out! Isaiah 13, verse 11. And I will punish the world for their evil, and the wicked for their iniquity. And I will cause the arrogancy of the proud to cease, and will lay low the haughtiness of the terrible. Barakatha Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakah Kadash. Special thanks to the chief apostle once again, as well as all the other apostles, the bishops and elders out there making full proof of their ministry, doing the work of an evangelist. 2 Timothy 4, verse 5. As well as all you other true believers in Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakah Kadash, and who respect, reverence, and fear that great name, and are working out your salvation with fear and trembling. Philippians 2, verse 12. Shalom, O Israel.